Hello, everyone. I'm National Master Luke Calhoun. I'm a nationally board certified teacher and a titled chess player. And I'm going to take a break from the speed runs where I usually showcase the Philidor and the Old Indian to talk about what we should be doing with white. So I haven't made a course on white yet, and a lot of people are eager to know what to play with white. And so I thought for this video, I'd help you choose by telling you a rundown of the personalities of the various openings. There's a lot of openings to play. So like, I think E4 is going to have to be another video. And actually against Knight F6, the Nimzo, King Xinyan, Grunfeld stuff, that's another video too. We're going to just talk about the #1 club player move, D5, and what your options are and how I would describe their personalities. So I'll describe them like I would a person, and you can tell whether it's a person you'd want to hang out with. Okay, so let's start with what we're going to do. We're going to do the pros and cons of the main line Queen's Gambit declined, both the exchange and the regular, the Catalan opening, the Catalan delayed C4, the Colle system, the Colle-Zukertort, the London system, the Stonewall, and the Jobava London, and the Trompowsky. So 10, and I hope I don't forget anything. There's a lot to go over. I'm going to kind of move fast because I really want to describe it. So first, your option is to play the Queen's Gambit declined. C4, I would say, is already going to be a little more theory heavy, because in the club level, like I looked at Lichess databases, this is the #1 move by white. So when you play the #1 move by white, you know that black is going to usually be prepared. And that's always a problem for you because they're going to maybe know what to do. The flip side to that is it's the #1 move because, frankly, it's the best move. The C4 is just, in my opinion, the best move for white to play. You can play Knight F3 before you play C4, but at the end of the day, you're playing C4. So in terms of theory, I really want to talk about the Queen's Gambit declined, which is coming after here. These are not black's only options. So black does have like the Slav and takes, but when you're first starting, that's not a problem for you in terms of theory. And I'll tell you why. Because if they play like C6, so first of all, if they play any other move, they play like Knight F6, your strategy is always to just take the center. And then with this huge center, you're just better. And you're better because their minor pieces can't find places to go. They run out of squares to go, and your pawn center is always in danger of like moving up on them. It's like that, the Mario, where he like sees the ghost and turns around and is just like closer. Okay. And so that's the center. It's just like it can encroach at any point. And I wouldn't push them too fast. I would just like keep them back and get ready to like squeeze them, and then they suffocate more often than not. So they really have to defend this with a pawn or take you. That's like the only option. You don't really have to worry about C6 in the beginning because you can always just take and play like either bishop F4 right away or just Knight C3 and follow it up with like a system where your pieces go where I've drawn with the arrows. This is called the Slav exchange. It usually draws. I mean, like you have the same pawn structure as them. You're just up a tempo. So even if you lose a tempo by playing the wrong book move, you'll just be them. It's not so bad. So I would say that like it is tricky to get an advantage against the Slav. You'd have to learn some theory, and there is a lot of theory. There's a really quiet line if you don't like theory, which is just to play like E3, and then if they develop their bishop, to just go chase the bishop later. So usually they develop the bishop after the knight, but it amounts to the same thing. And one idea here is to just try to win the bishop pair and claim you have a small advantage because you have the bishop pair. So again, not so hard and not a lot of like, living by the sword, dying by the sword type of stuff. And the Queen's Gambit accepted, I don't really consider a reason not to play C4 because in the beginning you can just, you can either play Queen A4 check and just win back the pawn, or more simpler is just E3 with the idea of taking it back with the bishop. And it's not easy for black to meet this threat. They could play like bishop E6, but it's already awkward with the bishop here, and you can take it back in a variety of ways. A simple one is to just go bishop hunting with your knight. But oftentimes they'll play B5 at the club level, and then you play A4, and this is just a known win for white if they try to hang on to it. If they ever take, you play check and take it back, or just take it back and don't worry about it. You can just take back that other pawn later. And if they try to guard, then the problem is the rook is pinned. So if they take back, they lose a rook. And if they guard this way, they also lose material because you have queen f3 hitting the rook, and they have no way to block it. The rook can't move, and anything that blocks it can be eaten. So they have to choose which of these three will be sacrificed so that the rook can live. Probably not the queen, but they'll probably play like knight here, and then jack, and then you're just up a knight, right? You're just up a knight. So this is why the Queen's Gambit accepted is not a lot of theory in the beginning, and the idea for black is actually to play kind of for a draw. So after here, they're gonna, I don't know, they'll play like a c5 plan, and their goal is to like take here at some point. This is too early, but like eventually they take, and when you're first beginning, you can always just take back with the knight, and then you have the same position again. So I mean, how much worse can you be? You just play chess and you play down these files, and you try to win these pawns is the general rule. As you get better, you can opt to take back with the pawn, take an isolated pawn. It's an in-game weakness, but it makes your bishop awesome, and you get a big attack more often than not, as well as threats to push the pawn and like explode open the game and have some fun. But even if you don't want to learn any theory, you can just like say like I'm in the mood to take back with the knight whenever possible, and maybe I'll play like bishop here, or maybe I'll even take them. You castle and you take them, and you just trade queens, and you're not worse. So that's Queen's Gambit accepted. So I'm not really talking about those because you have their low theory options. E6 is different. You kind of have to know a little bit of stuff. So let's get to our first personality, which is the Queen's Gambit declined, which would go like this. And you know, this is a line, but I'm going to just keep it simple with bishop f4. I would say that you should play this if you're a classicist. White's often goal is to, at some point, trade this pawn and get pressure down here, or play c5 and squeeze black. And they're just keeping a lot of tension in the center. This makes this extremely hard to play for club players. Because when do you take on d5 and when do you push? It's like definitely an advanced opening. It's not a surprise that most chess courses that recommend bishop f4 tailor themselves to like advanced players, like Sam Shanklin's Lifetime Repertoires 1D4. Lifetime Repertoires are, if you don't know them, they're like huge courses, and it's tricky for white. Nonetheless, white can play for an edge, and the development is natural enough. So I kind of like it, and your opponent probably won't know much book either, even though this is like the new main line. The old main line was bishop g5. But I think this should be avoided. And the reason is because after h6, bishop h4, castle kingside, e3, black just has too many systems. So none of the systems are like too much of a threat. Like the Lasker system is one. The Tartakower is what I play myself. It's really good. You get hanging pawns, and white really has to like play against them. The real buzzkill, though, was knight bd7, which is Kramnik's choice. With the idea of just playing an immediate c5, and you get something like this, and honestly, there's just no like it's all dead, it's all dead and drawn. So it's a buzzkill. Again, not a worry if you don't mind being dead and drawn, but like if you did want to do that, don't put the bishop on e3 at all. Just play here. Early, like so, like play e3 here, and then play like b3 and b3, and you'll have an easy to play position without having to know all the theory of bishop g5. So that was what I'd say. So like returning to bishop f4, in a nutshell, bishop f4 is like in terms of theory, I'm going to rank it all the way up to 7 out of 8. A lot of theory. In terms of soundness, super sound. This is a grandmaster opening. In terms of whether I'd advise it to club players, no. No, there's just too much to learn, and it's tricky. Like some of the tactics on these c5 lines are like, if you don't know it, you die. Like you can lose out of this opening. I would say that white has a very comfortable game. This is very good if you want to spend like a lot of hours. In terms of personality, super positional, not at all attacking. It's like, it actually meets my personality a lot, but it's also very center-based. So like the clash is immediate. And because the clash is immediate, there are immediately open tactics. So it's positional in terms of its ambitions, but it also results in immediate, like, okay, let's do this. If you like studying openings where the play is more forcing, bishop f4 is one of them. It is one of the more forcing Queen's Gambit declined lines, which usually doesn't go with Queen's Gambit declined. Okay, so say you like this, the positional part, but you don't like, and you like the soundness, but you don't like the theory. The common answer is to play takes. And the reason why is because after knight f6, knight c3, this c5 line is not a bad line. Kind of goes like this. And this is like a main line opening that is a little tricky to play for white. So you have to add this to your belt when you're playing the bishop f4, whenever you play knight f3. And if you don't play knight f3, like if you play bishop f4 right away, they can like sneak the pawn. And if you play bishop g5, they can still like sneak the pawn. And so this is like why you delay the bishop, is like, you know, you're careful that you have avenues for taking back that pawn or playing e4 without having committed your bishop too early. So this is simpler. So now already our theory is way down in the Carlsbad structure. And I would say our theory has now shrunk to like only a 4 out of 8. In terms of soundness, this is equally sound. So totally sound. The big difference between this and d4 is that, okay, as black, I always liked playing against this better than the other one, because white has only 2 plans here. In the Carlsbad structure, your goal is to play f3, e4, called the Boffinic system, or to play b4, b5, called the minority attack. I'll like show you how this rolls out. So like here, and the big problem for black is they can't develop this bishop. So for example, if they try to develop this bishop, you go pawn hunting, and you're already winning. So it's got a little poison, it's got a little danger in fire to it, which I love. So c6, e3, bishop e7, queen c2, guarding this bishop square, and the bishop has nowhere to go. If they go here, they're just going to help you do the Boffinic plan. So they got to like put it here, which is, you know, super awkward, or just keep it on c8 for the foreseeable future. And then here, like what I would recommend for most players is playing the old school plan of like knight f3, bishop d3, rook b1, b4, b5, and if the reason why you want to pawn here is just like picture it for a second. If they take, this pawn will be isolated, and you can attack it all game. If they push, you'll take, and this pawn will be isolated, and you can attack it all game. And if they don't push, then you'll take them, and if they take back with the knight, the pawn is isolated. If they take back with the pawn is backwards on an open fire. Let the fire come down, let it rain on them, and then they have a problem. So this is the main issue with this for black, is like there are counters to this, but the counters just hold, and so it's a draw. And almost all the mainline stuff recommends f3, e4 right now. There's like a bunch of testable courses on this. If you're interested, Demuth has a course on this, Grandmaster Demuth, the solid d4. There's Barish's Lifetime Repertoire's d4. He also recommends f3, e4 as a plan. D4 for Ambitious Chess Improvers also recommends f3, d4. Just like everyone's recommending f3, d4. And it is solid. It wins a lot for white, and it's easy to play. That said, your pawn center gets super shaky. And there is a line where black like plays b5, h5, and goes for like a counterattack on the queen side, which is like the aggressive way of playing it. And black also has knight e8, knight d6 ideas, which kind of stops it, and a quick bishop f5. So you do have to know your theory. I didn't like, you know, this is still, you know, it's still up there in terms of the theory if you want to play that way. The minority attack is a lot quieter. It doesn't like lead to much. Like after knight f3, the draw rate is very high, but I think like this is so much easier. This is what I would play. I don't care what all the chessables are recommending. I just play this. And yes, they have responses to this plan, but it's just so much easier to play this for white than the f3 stuff. So that's my 2 cents. Then the theory level probably decreases to like maybe a 4 or even a 3, depending on how much you want to press. And so that's the Carlsbad. I would say play the Carlsbad if you want a low theory, high theory opening. Kind of like contradiction here. You want to play the Queen's Gambit. You want to be adventurous. You want to be positional, but you also, you know, want to keep it real. And so I think it's an excellent opening for club players to learn if they're really geeky and into opening theory, especially because it's a little more than normal. Okay, let's turn to the Catalan system. So in the Catalan system, your goal is to just often sacrifice that pawn. So like this might be a possibility, and then black will try to take. And white gets nagging Catalan pressure. The idea of the Catalan is to block in this bishop, and the bishop has no easy way to get out, because if it tries to come out this way, which is where it wants to go after this pawn move, then this bishop will be lunging at it, and there'll be moves like knight here. Like, for example, after queen c2, if b5, white has a lot of options, but you can play like a4, and then like, I don't know, this would be an example of how to lose. Takes, and then knight g5. Hitting the rook. Well, if I can point, hitting the rook. The goal is that if they play like here blocking you, then you checkmate them and you win. So I would say the Catalan, excellent for positional players. Its personality is like slow, like white, like it's not usually like, it's not as much as like a central fight in the beginning. So the tactics are like a little less intense. It's like a slow burn. The Catalan is an opening to play for a win. And I do mean this seriously. Like, there are so many moves where black takes that pawn and keeps it. Just keeps it. And black can play for a win against the Catalan. Like, the Queen's Gambit decline generally is a draw offer, but the Catalan is not. The Catalan is like any side can definitely win this, and it's super aggressively. Like, they have lots of options, including this like super tactical earlier bishop b4 check, bishop d2, bishop e7 line. This is a black's winning 28% of the time to white's 31%. This is like, so white's still winning more, but it's like, if you play knight c3, for example, black wins 67% of the time. So like a normal looking move and you could just die. So I would say the theory on this, you just have to know your theory if you play the Catalan. You just have to know it. There's just too much danger in the world. In terms of solidity, this is, of course, all the way up there with those aforementioned openings. Super solid. The Catalan is not going bust. In terms of club player, I wouldn't recommend the Catalan unless you're playing a variant of it for club players. There's just too much theory. And you could do other things with your life and not have Catalan theory. For example, I'll show you in this video like how to get a Catalan structure without playing the Catalan. Play the Catalan if you like, trench warfare, slow maneuvering, nagging positional pressure. You like the suffocation, Python-like squeeze, and you don't mind studying till your brain hurts. I play the Catalan, but I don't recommend the Catalan to any of my students currently, even though I play it myself. So that's the Catalan. Now, one thing to be clear is that the delayed Catalan is not so bad, and in terms of theory. And this is ideas that you just don't play c4 for a while. And that's because like that line I was telling you about where I thought bishop b4 check was like really critical, you just play c3 against it and you just stop it. So white's options are much less scary because black's not going to win a pawn when there is no pawn. And you don't play c4 until you're ready. And you can even play it like super safe with like a knight bd2 or b3 before c4. This is very solid, and I would recommend this for a lot of players. This is mentioned in Keep It Simple, which I don't think is Keep It Simple at all. By the way, Keep It Simple by Silicki features this line. He has a quick starter that's like over 100 variations, which is more than like some courses for just the quick starter. So it's like keep it. I don't know. Keep it simple in terms of ideas, but definitely not in terms of lines memorized. The one disadvantage of this is that c5, like castle king side, and they can take, and then when you take back, I'm not convinced that white has much of an advantage at all in these positions. Black has the center and you don't, so you can't be much better. You're not risking a pawn. You are risking getting bulldozed if you're not careful, but I would still recommend this. Overall, I'd say the delayed Catalan, in terms of theory, much less. Like we're talking like 4, much less theory. It's more about learning the positional structures. Even though Silicki's course has a lot of lines, you can kind of wing it without taking the course, and you should be fine. In terms of soundness, it's a 5, because black has this early c5, I think that I wouldn't recommend this to master players, even though it is, Carlsen played this. So, like, you can play it as a surprise weapon, but I don't think it's like many people's main weapon. And Carlsen played it as a surprise. So, it's still kind of tricky. And then in terms of club level play, I would give this, I forgot which button is my green button. Here we go. I would give this, a 5. It's if you like the trench warfare, but you don't want the Catalan, just delay c4 is my big advice. Okay, let's turn to the other systems. So after d4, d5, another option for those of you who are interested is the Colle system. So like knight f3, knight f6, and you play e3, and then maybe they'll play e6. I don't think e6 is the best opening against it, but let's say they play this. You're still threatening c4, but you play c3 instead. And the general goal, and this move orders I'm not paying attention to here. I'm just talking about this triangle. This is the Colle system. This is good if you like open battles, if you like attacking chess, if you're very aggressive. It's like easy to get equality for black if they know what they're doing, but it's surprising. So when I look at like Lichess databases, c4 is the main move. The second one is the London. Everyone's playing c4 or London after d4. So Colle system could really throw them off. And there are some hidden dangers for black here. So like after e5, c5, let's just say castle, knight c6, let's get into like a main position. The idea for white is to play here, and then like e4 is the idea. And the center starts exploding open, and you can get a great game. So like here, like a knight takes, bishop takes, and you have like threatens to attack, and I don't know, queen c7. I don't know if this works. Bishop takes h7, but like, this is the type of thing you dream for when you play the Colle and you try to checkmate there, and that's the goal. I would say the Colle is super safe because your plan is simple. You just you take here and you play e4. And then it turns into like an e4 open like position without anything and just telling you that that's your theory. So there you go. It's like 3. It's like nothing. In terms of soundness, I mean, no one's gonna I don't even know if I give it a 4. Black has a lot of setups against it. Like one easy setup is to rush a bishop to b7 and put a knight here. And then with this bishop clogged up, it's hard to get off e4. Another setup is to just develop this bishop early to f5 and then just trade off the good bishop. That's also good. So even, in Simon Williams's course on the Colle, he said you couldn't even play it against the King's Indian, which I think is a little extreme, but there's a reason why a lot of players are preferring the Colle-Zukertort, which is the same system basically, except in this system, the bishop goes to b3. So we go like this, and then, b2, and you have this instead of playing c3. The disadvantage is with the c3 plan, you're coming out here. With this, a lot of times you're delaying e4, so you're playing more I don't know. Let me just show you the dream. The dream is something like this, and then this, and then this to stop knight there, and then I don't know. Let's make bad moves for black so that we can live our dream. They play here, here, here. I have to keep making bad. They play here, and then here, and then I don't know, here, here, and then they retreat, and then you have check. And this is the dream. Check. And then the queen comes in, and it's going to be mate. That's a dream of the Colle-Zukertort system. I would say it's it's a lot more dangerous for black, but you do have to know some things as white. You have to know not to allow knight b4. You have to be very careful not to let them take over the e5 square. The move order matters a little bit. The danger, the solidity is a little higher, I think, than the Colle system because there's a lot more danger for black. So the trade-off of all that theory is that you can actually win right out of the opening against unexpected players, and then people who know it, you're going to be good too. In terms of club player, this is this is a great opening for club players. Great, and you can castle, and you can do this attack, but you can also do this strategy where, say here, you could do even do something like this where you play c4 and you just play on the queen side and try to open up files. this way and just play it super positionally. And this is what I like about it, is that you have that positional option with the Colle-Zukertort. Okay? So overall, I would say the Colle systems are, what drives people to quit playing them is that they just get tired of not being able to press as white. Almost no one I know that plays the Colle systems loses for white. Like, they're always fine out of the opening. And especially with that E3, C3 stuff. They're always fine and never better. So it's like, I don't know how you feel about it. The Zukertort, it's like the same thing, except, if black doesn't know it, maybe you'll just win out of the opening. So Zukertort can be good because the Colle-Zukertort is so much less common than the London system at the club player level. Like, really, it's like, I don't know, 1 in like 20 or 30 games that they're going to get after D4, D5. And they're not getting D4 that much. So it has super big surprise value, and it's pretty easy to play. Like, I just showed you the plans, like F4, then you just move everything to the king side, or you play C4 and transpose to the queen's gambit later without having to sacrifice a pawn because you have B3 on the board, protecting it. Very easy to understand the basic ideas and to pick up on at the club level. So I'd say very, very high. And I would recommend the Colle-Zukertort. And again, the Colle-Zukertort is here, 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 here. You could also play the Colle if you want something even simpler and you want something a little more tactical. I'd say the Colle is a little more tactical, less closed positions, more open if you're like a freedom, need your pieces to move. Okay, let's finally turn to the Londons, the Jobavas and the Trompowsky. So this is the London system. You can play it in 2 ways, and I would say the London has 2-person. Okay, people just don't understand the London system. I'm just gonna throw that right there. There's so many ways to play the London system. So, for example, here's a system, and after knight f6, c3, if they play c5, you take this pawn and you keep it. So they play e6, and you're like, no, it's mine. If they play knight c6, which is a mistake, you play e3, and you hang on to this forever and ever and ever, and you never let it go. And this is technically like a London where you stole it. You can also do this in a Colle system to punish an early c5. But you can also play the London system with bishop f4 as your main move, and on here play e3. It's like a completely different system. And then knight f6, there's this line, c3, knight c6, knight bd2, queen b6, queen b3, c4, queen here. And this is complicated. This is a London system. And finally, there's a London system where you play here followed by knight f3. And on c5, you just take. This is what was recommended in Benzia's London system, and you play without a pawn in the center. You can also take their bishop when they play bishop d6. It's like the reason why the London system I think is popular by Magnus Carlsen is because within the London system there are many London systems, and you can even reach I was reaching Catalan positions with the London system when I was playing it. I'd play knight f3, knight f6. I play c3. They play c6. I play queen c2 to stop the bishop from coming here because I didn't like them to develop their bishop easily. The bishop came here. I'd play knight e5. This was recommended in a lifetime repertoire London system. And on queen c7, I played c4, and then I'd be like, Catalan! I played g3, bishop g2. And we were in a Catalan without all the theory. So there's all this, trickery and flexibility of the London system. Unfortunately, it's killed by the unoriginal who just go here, here, here without thinking and develop their pieces like that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because so easy to come up with weapons against that. For example, I'll give you one way to really quickly lose the game in the London system. You play e3, I play knight c6, and you play c3, and I play queen b6, and you play queen b3 to guard the pawn, c4. This is a bad game for white. Here, and in the stats out of 500 games in the master database, black has won 63%, white only 16%. That's not super intuitive that you can't take their queen, right? And if you play queen c2, then bishop f5. Boom! Because if you take this, you lose a rook. So you got to play here. And now your basic London setup, and look how passive everything is. You're horrible in this position. And black is winning after e6, after h6, after knight h5. Even queen d8 has a winning record for black. To just play b5, b4, and so The London system needs some theory. So overall, I would say the London system, if you do the theory right, it's a 5. Like there's a lot, because it's so popular. It's just so popular. And the best way to play it for white is to like listen to what black's doing and play some immediate tactics. I would say it's as high as the Queen's Gambit, honestly, because there's just black is prepared these days. And there's so many lines, knight h5 lines. I mean, there's so many things to do. If you play at low theory, and you can play at low theory, and that would be like just play it like this, then I'll give it only 3, but then like solidity, I mean, like you can lose. Like it's like not easy. Like it's easy to play against players that are maybe like not very high rated, but you're going to have a high ceiling where you just can't break it because you're going to get refuted. You'll be fine, refuted. Fine, refuted. And you won't know that you were refuted. You'll just think that you lost that game. But like you cannot go in auto control in the London system this way. I would say in terms of personality, the London is super positional and super flexible. Play the London system if you don't want to have a lot of theory in terms of immediate clashes. It's more theory of ideas. There are some key lines that you must know. You must know the lines where black plays an early c5 and goes for a quick queen b6 against it. Those lines are just wild. Just wild. But the other lines are more quiet. Like the bishop f5 lines are super quiet. It's bishop g4. You can handle those without a ton of theory. And generally, an idea of the London is to be aggressive. Like, I'm tired of people playing quietly. Like, you're going to like, I don't know, let's do the dream. So I'll show you the dream of the London player. We'll play it quiet. The black bishop should always come to d6. But like, say they castle, you castle, and say like they play like b6, they're playing all passive, and you play knight f3. This is the plan I always like to play for white. And you just checkmate on h7. So if they take here, you just see like you start to checkmate on h7, and then you checkmate on h7. And if they don't do that, then you get rid of this. You just play g4, g5, or you play bishop g5, you take it. This one comes up and takes it, and you keep taking until you checkmate on h7. And so like the nice thing about the London is like it's super good at attacking, but equally good is to play c4 sometimes and play on the queen side. And it's just a lot of London players, they play the opening, but they don't really know the middle game plans. And the middle game plans are the reason to play the London with some deviation. So I would say if you play it poorly, the theory is this, but the solidity is also broken. I don't know, where's my blue? The solidity is also broken. In terms of easiness to understand, it's easy to remember where all your pieces go if you play it like that. But in terms of your plan, it's very hard to understand your plan because you're not reacting in the opening. I would recommend playing it with a little more theory and a little more solidity. So 1 up is actually doing the theory, doing the coursework. Even going to this far is basically how far I would push the London. A note, by the way, if you want a low theory London, put the bishop on e2. This was recommended in c3 Venom. I think like there was like this idea of like e6, and then the bishop would, normally the bishop comes to d3, but this is unexplored and a lot quieter and leads to simpler positions. So this is a like low theory London that would be like this, and actually has a little more, maybe a little more, smudging a little more repute. In the master database, this move has drawn every single game. So there's only been 4, but like they were all draws played by high-rated players. Okay, so that's the London. Positional, but also like you're okay understanding plans without concrete moves except for c5. The Jobava London is crazy. This is nothing like the London. This is like if you have rage issues, if you're in anger management, or like let's put it positively, if you like to win, but you want a low theory, this is the opening. It's not to my taste because I don't love crazy hairball tactics, but Jobava London players often do. So the idea is like you're going to play after knight f3, you're going to play bishop f4 like a normal London, but then on bishop f5, you're going to play f3, and then g4, h4, and you just go for the throat. And black has a lot of moves here. They can play h6 or h5. A problem is that h5 is winning more in club level chess for black. If you check the Lee Chess database, black is doing quite fine here. But you can see how aggressive white is. Like they're gonna castle queenside, and they're gonna just throw all the pawns up, and the position is super crazy and it's wild. So I would say this is like the crazy uncle of the London. It's like they're like twins, and one London is all sedate and does their homework and is just like calm, and the other London is like always out till like 2 a.m. doing like weird stuff, and like this is the weird stuff London, because the pawn on f3 is just gonna play this crazy. You can play the Versov is no longer fashionable. It might be a good reason to play it with the idea of like taking the knight. But black has two good responses. Knight bd7 and c6 are both good. c5 is also not so bad. So sorry, bishop f5 is good, as is knight bd7. And on knight like f3, c6 and c5 are good, is what I meant to say. You can trick some people into a French this way, because they'll just play e6 and you'll play e4 and you're like, you're in a French, and then hope to win the game. But I played this once when I was like really the Versov. I would say the theory is like a 2. It's very, very little. But in terms of solidity, it's only a 3. It's not. But in terms of club player lines, I don't know. 3. It's just if you want to get out a book and just play a game, continue with Versov. Very, very rare at club level play, though. So that's the good news. The one bad thing about the Jobava I should mention is the Jobava was played. It's played now 7% of the time at club level, so it's only like 1% at grandmaster level, so super rare. But suddenly it's gotten super trendy, like almost as trendy as the London. It's like everyone and their mom is now playing the Jobava London. And so black players, I think, getting more and more prepared. So I'd still prefer like the Colle-Zukertort or maybe the Trompowsky or the Torre attack as a preference. Let's get into that. So the Trompowsky Torre attack is you wait for the knight to come here and you play bishop g5. And the idea is kind of like the London. You're going to take out the knight, and then you're going to play like g3, f4, bishop d3, and you're going to go play for checkmate on the other side of the board. I would say this is a little like, it's a little less trendy than the London, but it's a little less flexible. So I noticed like when the bishop was here, I showed you all the like styles white could play in. Here, the bishop is a little more committed to like taking out the enemy knight. And so it's less common, but the flip side is when black has studied it, they kind of know what you're going to do. While with the London, they don't know which London player you are. Are you like crazy London player? Are you like solid London player? Are you like, expert London player? There's so many different types of Londons, but these tromps, they tend to be like very, very similar. In terms of reputation, this is like a super aggressive option. I would say if you're a Jobava player, I would consider learning this right now if you're considering the Jobava, because it's aggressive without being as trendy. Like less people have seen it. It is still kind of trendy, but like, I don't know. The idea is like, I don't know, say they play like e6. White will play like e3, and then on bishop e7, bishop d3, and they will knight bd2 is maybe a finesse, but it's similar, knight e5, and then f4, and the queen comes, red rover, send the queen on over, and you checkmate on h7. It's like all these plans are like seeming the same. And like, again, as opposed to the London, the bishop's not f4, so you're like a tempo up on the kingside plan. So, I mean, you might be wondering, like, if you're a tempo up on the kingside plan, why is this not better than the London? And the reason is because your queenside plan is less good because the bishop's not hitting this. So you kind of like just showcased and advertised what you're going to do. You're like, I'm going to attack the king side. I promise. And that gives black a lot more information, and they can put up a much better defense. While the London was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So, at the club level, though, will they really know what to do against that king side attack? I mean, maybe not. So maybe the extra tempo is worth it. And if you want a real extra tempo, I want to finally talk by... Oh, Trompowsky Torre attack, by the way. Theory 4, not that much, maybe 3. In terms of soundness, super sound. The Trompowsky was played by Magnus Carlsen, but not as a main weapon in the World Championship against Karyakin. He played the Trompowsky. but not as a main. And Karyakin had no problems whatsoever. In terms of easiness to understand, very high easiness to understand, because you're just going to go attack the king side. Like, it's just, and it appeals to, like, you, if you have a fiery personality. Put the bishop on g5, not f4, is my general rule. We finally turn to one last opening, which is after e3, say knight f6, the move f4. Sometimes bishop d3 is played first so that they can't play a bishop there. Then on like e6, you have f4. This is super good for most club players that are like really, really beginner. The problem with it is you have a bad bishop, but you just basically do that aforementioned plan where you castle and you come up here. And if need be, the bishop just comes out here and trades the knight that way. So like, let's do the dream. Let's do the dream to show you what this idea opening is all about. Like, you put a knight here. Sometimes you can even save the tempo. Oh, it's black's turn. Like here, the pawn comes here all the time, and then you play this here, and then eventually you move over or move over. And right now they have this knight move, so maybe I should have played the knight here. But it's pretty simple. You're just gonna like attack that side of the board. This bishop can also come in, and you'll try to checkmate on h7 usually. If they play g6, then you'll try to get your rook, lift your rook up, and then put all the ammunition on h7. And this is the Stonewall Attack. I would say this is the easiest system to learn. It's definitely a 3, but it's not as bad as the London system to just be on cruise control. In terms of solidity, it's only a 3. It's like maybe a 4. It's not like, I would say it's equal at the master level, but I don't know. It's your bishop is bad. Your bishop is bad. So black's solution is a little clearer in terms of like they know you're attacking the king side. The thing is, at club level play, most people don't know how to stop it. So I would say in terms of easiness to play, we're like all the way up here. Choose this if you are not super positional, but you like clear plans. Like you don't want to like play against an isolated pawn. You don't want to like play against a small weakness. You don't want to trade the queens. You want to attack, but you want your attack scripted. You want a playbook. You want the playbook to be the same game after game after game. We're just going for the king, and your pieces have their normal squares to go to. This is what a lot of those London players who put their pieces on the same places should play, honestly, because it's a lot more comfortable with its rigidity. It is, and there's no like weird, like I put my bishop here, I put my bishop back, then I played f4, then I played here, then your bishop got there in 1, 2, 3 squares, but you're like, it's totally worth it. Well, this one, 1, 2, 3, you got the same place. So you're just playing the London main line, tempo for tempo. And you don't even have to move over the bishop. So that's the advantage here, is like if you wanted to keep the bishop back, you could play a plan with like king here and then just running up the pawn and like doing all these crazy things, and you get a free attack. So I'd say at the club level, this opening is super effective, the Stonewall. So let's do a recap of the d4, d5 openings. I play c4 if you want the most theory intensive and you're okay like playing against micro advantages. You like tension. And of those, the least tense is the exchange variation, which is why c4 followed by pawn takes d5 is recommended in a lot of like beginner repertoire books as an introduction to the Queen's Gambit. The bishop f4 system is probably a little harder for black to face at the highest levels because white has so many flexible options in terms of their setups that they're harder to predict. I always find them a little more like, I don't know what they're going to do. Well, against the exchange, it's a good plan, but I know the plan. So at least it's like a little less worrisome for me. The Catalan, I would avoid until you get to the master level. It's great opening. It's a lot of theory though. Instead, I think the delayed Catalan with c4 is suitable for most club players. The Colle system is great if you want an open, no-nonsense, simple, solid game. If you're like losing with white, you play the Colle system. The Colle-Zukertort is the same thing, but it's got a lot more bite to it. I really like the London system, but the thing to know about the London system is if you play the London system, learn some theory, learn how to attack the queen side and the king side, because I think that the London system where they just do the predictable triangle is actually a pretty weak opening overall, and is not the source for most people. If you want that kind of just like, I do my thing, I would choose the more aggressive Trompowsky or Torre attack, or the Stonewall systems. Those are just better. And finally, if you want like a low maintenance, flary, tactical opening, you can play the Jobava with knight c3, bishop f4, and sometimes f3, g4. I would say it's low theory, but the problem is that it doesn't really give white much of an advantage. And sadly, it's super trendy right now. I'm seeing it all the time at tournaments. So like I've now like cooked up a great d5 weapon against the Jobava. And in my Old Indian course, I was ready to meet knight c3, early knight c3s, just because I knew how trendy this was, which is a problem with it. Anyway, I hope that this gives you a rundown, and I hope you're ready to choose an opening after d4, d5. And let me know if I explained things too thoroughly or not thoroughly enough. Kind of unsure where that balance was, and I appreciate you watching.